Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a Master's of Science student in Geography here at McGill University in beautiful Montreal, Quebec, Canada. What would you call this? You would probably call it a tree on the McGill campus. I would too, but I would also call it a history book because this tree can tell us so much. You'd be surprised what this tree can tell us. It can tell us things about climate, past diseases that affected an area, and human actions through a technique called the tree ring analysis. Tree ring analysis is a technique done to better understand past events in an area. It can show climate patterns, diseases that have affected a forest, clear cutting, forest fires, and so much more. Tree ring analysis is based on the fact that a tree grows one ring every year. Therefore, in less favorable conditions or when a tree is under stress, it will grow a less amount. The tree ring analysis is done on the largest tree in the area. Now I know this McGill campus doesn't have very many trees, but in a forest, you would have lots of options. Therefore, the type of tree and how old the tree, which can be counted by the number of rings the tree has, can tell us lots of other information about the past area as well. Okay, I've told you the background information about tree ring analysis, but I know what you're thinking. How is it actually done? Well, tree ring analysis is done in 3 steps. First, coring a tree, then preparing the tree core in the laboratory, and then analyzing the tree rings under our dissecting microscope. I'm going to show you all 3 of these in this video today, as well as my results from my tree ring analysis done at the Daly Point Nature Reserve in Bathurst, New Brunswick, Canada. So the first step to tree ring analysis is taking a tree core. A tree core is taken with something like this, called an incremental borer. The most important part of this incremental borer is the cutting tip, which is this, which is inserted once you've screwed this incremental borer into the tree. The cutting tip detaches the tree core from the tree that can be taken into the laboratory. The incremental borer works by placing the incremental borer at the tree and then twisting to turn in. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but it's winter here in Montreal, so the tree is frozen. So I can't actually core this incremental borer into the tree, but I can show you what I would do when I get into the laboratory to prepare the tree core and then analyze the tree rings. Back into the warmth of the lab, the second step is to prepare the tree core for analysis. The first thing to do is to glue the tree core on a mount, such as this. The tree core is placed on the mount with white glue, taped, and then left overnight. The tree core is then sanded down in order for the tree rings to be apparent under the dissecting microscope. It is sanded down with 4 different types of sandpaper, either by hand or with an electric sander. After the tree rings are sanded down, the tree core is now ready for analysis because the tree rings are now visible on the mount. The third step is to analyze the tree rings under a dissecting microscope. The tree rings are first counted in order to know the age of the tree. The tree rings are then measured and then recorded on an Excel spreadsheet. Statistical analysis is then performed on this data. This data, then when paired with climate data and past historical information, can then tell the history of an area. Daly Point Nature Reserve is a nature reserve located northeast of Bathurst, New Brunswick on Shallard Bay. It was established in 1989 as a partnership between industry and the province of New Brunswick. It consists of over 100 acres of Acadian forest, abandoned fields, a barrier beach, freshwater marshes, and a saltwater marsh. A former tree stump was found under a hummock in the salt marsh. For our research project, we wanted to figure out if the tree was excavated in a terrestrial or a wetland environment, as well as when the tree trunk may have been cut. This was done with various types of analysis, such as pollen analysis, macrofossils analysis, historical records, and of course, tree ring analysis. Tree ring analysis involved coring the 4 largest trees along the salt marsh and bringing them back to the laboratory for analysis. I first looked at the type of trees they were, and all of the trees were black spruce. This indicates 2 things. First, that the forest is young, and second, that the forest was likely affected by a disease called spruce budworm. It indicates that the forest is young because lots of spruce is an indicator of an early successional forest. Second, Many early successional forests in New Brunswick have both balsam fir and spruce trees, as well as other types of trees. The largest trees were not balsam fir. Therefore, it's likely the disease, spruce budworm, attacked the balsam fir trees in the most recent outbreak between 1967 and 1972, killing all of the balsam fir trees. Second, I looked at how old the trees were from the tree rings. The trees were between the ages of 41 and 83. This indicates that the trees were relatively young, so the land was likely cleared for some reason more than 83 years ago. Third, I looked at the width of the tree rings and compared them to climate data. Overall, the growth declined over time for all of the trees. This suggests that climate was becoming increasingly stressful and unfavorable for the trees to grow in. Examination of climate data from 1900 to 2010 revealed an overall increase in air temperature in the Bathurst region since 1940. A study has suggested that black spruce prefer cooler temperatures, suggesting why the overall growth has increased since the 1940s. Fourth, I looked at aerial photography and topographic maps to see if and when the land was cleared. This showed that the land was entirely cleared in 1935, but then patches of trees began to appear in 1945 and increased from there. Overall, the tree ring analysis showed that the former trees found in the salt marsh would have likely been cut before the 1940s, although it could not be told if it was cut in fresh water or a terrestrial environment. The tree ring analysis also showed that the forest was likely impacted by spruce budworm between 1967 and 1972, killing all of the balsam fir in the forest. The tree growth has also decreased over time from an increase in air temperature. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoy learning about tree ring analysis and see how trees are truly history books, as they can tell us so much about climate, diseases, and past human actions in an area.